We're here, guys. 4 years. It's a long time.
We are here.
Through which me and my classmates have had quite a few experiences. Some positive, some negative. You know, there were some career ambitions that weren't fulfilled, some desires that were left unfulfilled, some sleepless nights, some property damage. I know one guy's now an investment banker. Emotional trauma, and hey, maybe even a failed test or two. But we've persevered, because we're med students. We've gone through it all, through the thick and thin, to today, match day. They say match day is the most important day of med school. Some people say it's even more important than graduation. For some of us, it means starting a new life in a new city. For some of us, it means finally returning home, so we're closer to family. But for each and one of my classmates, it means that we finally get to start the careers that we've been dreaming of. But before we jump onto this journey, I want you guys to think back to a couple years ago, a day that was probably equally as important, white coat. You wake up early, you're standing in line next to someone you don't even know, you barely listen to this speech by a doctor you've never met before, and some random guy puts a white coat on you. And that's when you realize, this white coat means something. It means respect, honor, integrity, but most importantly, power. And I'm not gonna lie, when you give a 22-year-old fresh college graduate that much power, it's really hard to not abuse it. When you're in the hospital, the med student is insignificant. There's a reason the white coat stops here. It's so that when everything's going wrong, or if they need someone to yell at, or if the surgeon needs a scalpel to be thrown across the room at someone, they know exactly where to look. The white coat that stops here. But when you walk out in public, there's a different perception. Everyone thinks and stops and looks at you in amazement and awe.
Oh, holy crap.
And it's awesome. Sometimes I'll walk into Chick-fil-A with my white coat on during lunchtime. The line is through the door. Walk up to the front and I'm like, excuse me, sir. I really need to get back to clinic. Oh, go right ahead, sir. Go ahead and cut. Instant chicken sandwich. Or I'll even wear it downtown. You know? And all it takes is one girl to come up. You see the color of this white coat? Instant phone number. But I think the best part about having a white coat in public is you get out of speeding tickets like it's nothing. Speeding down 35, 60 miles per hour, 70, 80, whatever, you get pulled over. Sir, do you know how fast you were going? Officer, do you know the color of this white coat?
It's white.
Is it an emergency? I need to get back to my patients. Is it an emergency? Well, the residents really need their coffee. But wearing this white coat out in public doesn't always work. Because every once in a while you realize that the white coat doesn't only symbolize power, respect, integrity, but it also means knowledge. A mastery of how the body works, organ systems interacting with each other, and when they go wrong, you're there to help people. But things went a little wrong when I decided to wear my white coat to Thanksgiving dinner. My grandma, sweet old lady, comes up to me. Oh, Dr. Ansari, I have a hip pain. What should I do? Tylenol? Ice? I don't know. Your friends start looking for free medical advice so they don't have to pay for insurance. Hey, Asif, I've got this weird rash that's developing on my... Whoa! Dude, we're just friends, man. Can't go there. Can't go there. And so it goes on and on, trying to figure out what's... But slowly the knowledge comes. The first 2 years of medical school. First year you learn normal physiology. Second year you learn abnormal. And the knowledge continues to grow and culminate, and you grow until it reaches a pinnacle moment known as step 1. Now, if you guys smell something weird in the audience, that's because just the mere mention of step 1 has caused every medical student in the audience to simultaneously have a bowel movement. This test was hard, I'm not gonna lie. It challenged us emotionally, physically, and mentally, pushed us to our limits. But let me just put perspective for all you guys who didn't actually take this test. What does the test cover? Medicine. You guys know? You guys understand what that means? If you were a farmer and you were taking a board exam for farming, your test would be over farming. And I'm not talking about easy questions like squash. What color is squash? Yellow. Or which of the following are not vegetables? Apple. I'm talking about weird, obscure farming stuff. Like a 55-year-old farmer presents with the past farming history of passion fruit, kumquat, and rutabaga. If he wants to maximize his yield of corn, which he ships to Ecuador twice a year, at what temperature should he store the Miracle Grow? Worst part is, the answers are in Celsius. We're in America. It's awful. But eventually, you tough it out, and you emerge from that testing center. Like a prisoner released from, or like an ex-con released from prisoner. You try to reintegrate back into society. But what is our society? Our society is third year, the hospital. And I'm not gonna lie, third year was also difficult. It was great, we were in the hospital, but you were trying to balance working, studying, trying to have that nice social life balance. But it's awful, waking up at 4 a.m. Does anyone really know what it means to wake up at 4 a.m.? Because when your alarm goes off, your mind is like, oh, this is a terrible joke. You set the alarm wrong. My bowels aren't even awake at 4 a.m. But I do guarantee that they'll be awake at 7 a.m. when I'm in surgery. You know, so third year continues on. You try to figure out balancing, and you soon realize that once you get the hang of third year, it's really hard. It's actually really easy. It's all about just making yourself look good on paper. Because what happens? At the end of every rotation, we all freak out about our evals, the dean's letter. You want to make sure that the attendings say good things about you. Because these notes get sent to every residency program, every director reads them, and they evaluate you on whether or not they think that you have the characteristics that would make a good resident. But, you know, they're looking for certain things. And they know what these clever phrases that attendings put in there mean. I'm just going to share with you some of my excerpts from my dean's letter. Student was very up to date on current clinical guidelines in treatment and diagnosis. Translation: knows how to use Google. Or able to compassionately communicate with patients. Translation: knows English. I think the best one is, has a positive attitude and works well with others. Translation: not crazy. That's all it takes to be a good third-year medical student. Know how to use Google, speak English, and not be crazy. But after a while, you start to realize that, you know, you gotta fill out this application that comes around. It opens up, and you read and you're gonna chronologically put every single thing you've done for the past 25 years into that application. And it's a time where you can show who you are as a person. You know, a little bit about yourself, show some color, but you start to realize, I really haven't done much in the past 25 years. I'm really scraping the barrel to fill these boxes out. You know, so we all do it. I'm not saying it's ethical. There's a little bit of embellishment, a little bit of truth stretching here and there. For example, let me tell you guys the way I filled out some of my boxes. Past job experience. Effectively assisted team in rapid turnover of goods and services for 2 weeks. Translation: worked as a busboy as a summer job. Or research. Applied advanced biochemical techniques combined with a practical approach to microbiology. Translation: cleaned the beakers out every Thursday for microlabs. And I think the best one is, you know, residencies want people who are very diverse individuals, so there's a hobbies box, you know. So I put accomplished violinist able to perform classical, neo, soul, and modern contemporary music. Translation: I have Asian parents. So you send this application off, and interviewer and residency programs read it, and you walk in and everything, and you soon realize that the embellishment that you put in there can kind of get you into trouble sometimes. You know, like for example, my cousin, he put proficient in Spanish. They actually interviewed him in Spanish. Like the entire interview, the whole thing. Hola, ¿cómo estás? Adios, everything. It was awful. You know, needless to say, that interview didn't go as smoothly as he had planned. But, you know, those moments can happen where things kind of just fall apart. And I like to call those moments, well, that's my cue. You know, and it just takes one instance for everything to go awry when you're doing an interview. It's like, you know, my fear wasn't being asked to speak Spanish. My fear was walking in, there's a violin and a bow sitting on the table. Oh, Mr. Ansari, you said that you're an accomplished violinist. Why don't you play some of your neo-soul music? You want me to do it right now? Like in the room? Well, that's my cue. Or, you know, you read books and they'll tell you how to interview. They'll be like, you know, when you walk into the room, you want to scan the room very quickly, see if there's anything that you can connect with the interviewer. Maybe there's a longhorn on the wall, or, you know, an Aggie symbol, you can make fun of them or something. But, you know, so you walk in, oh, that's nice. It's a nice office, Dr. Jones. Like, oh, that's a really nice saxophone you have there. I play that too. Awesome. That's a trumpet. Well, that's my cue. Nice talking to you. And it takes one instance for it to all go downhill. For example, I'll go downhill. Well, Asif, what do you think? We have two research tracks. We have two tracks, research and pediatrics. Which one do you think you'd be more interested in? It's like, well, Dr. Jones, I don't really find the value of research, so I think I'd rather prefer the pediatrics track. That's interesting, because I'm actually the program director for the research track, so, well, that's my cue. And so, you know, this continues on and on and on for 13 interviews, and you finally come back, and you think that the questions would be over, but they're not. There's two more questions that every med student gets asked for the rest of fourth year. First, what specialty are you going into, right? And I think there's a certain thing about the answer to that question, because you don't pick the specialty actually picks you. There's certain personalities and certain characteristics that go into certain types of physicians, and it's always interesting to see people's reactions when you tell them what you're going into. For example, so, oh, what are you going into? It's like, oh, I'm going into general surgery. Oh, that makes sense. You seem like a person that hates sleep and happiness. Or it's like, oh, I'm going into orthopedic surgery. It's like, oh, nice. You don't seem like the type that uses their brain very often. I'm going into anesthesia. Oh, nice. You seem like the type that would eventually develop a drug addiction. But the other question that gets asked all the time is, where are you going to be next year? I don't know. Don't you have a choice? Choice. That's hilarious. I don't even know what that word means anymore. Well, do you think you can come to my wedding in the next 7 months? I don't know. Well, what do you know about your future? The only thing we do know is that me and my classmates are going to be on our 40th hour of call, holed away in some on-call room, answering 4 pagers at the same time, eating ramen from a bedpan. And as terrible as that image sounds, I know that each one of my classmates are ready to start the next chapter of their lives. So wherever that piece of paper sends you today, I know that each and every one of you will represent Uthscsa well and excel wherever you are. I wish each and every one of you the best of luck, and will hope that you get whatever you want in that envelope. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's my cue, and it was nice talking to you.